beautification is not too rich for blood if you have a sauna, but if you don't have a sauna, how to make a makeshift one can be sketchy, because when I was a kid, they were always like, do not build a bomb inside your garage. We all heard of a kid who did build a bomb inside of his garage. And so in matters what a material is, and living in a material world is not to build a bomb in your garage, but by accident, how could you mistake that? I think one of the biggest mistakes, if at that, would have to be GMO, with what you're getting yourself into and not knowing. Because we all know what GMO is. It's a genetically modified, but then we don't really know what it is, because they just slap that label on and it's game on because it's a filler that tastes good. Back to organ harvesting, if you like get this down into like a patch, so you have like an Ezekiel gene, something that resuscitates really quickly your cells. This technology is made up. Is this all that we're made up to be, is to look good in makeup? So having like the best organs, because you can just harvest more in outer space. Having the best makeup, that's what I think a patch should be, if it's rejuvenating your body. And I'm not it, but I'm all for not having replacements. And Bob Marley, he died because he didn't want to cut off his toe because it was cancerous. Because your body's a temple. So in mentioning black holes that are in outer space, you would be hard pressed to note that there was a convention in Concordia with the world's top, our country's top, but NASA, they speak for all space agencies in the world. They don't partner with anyone. They're all second party, but they act like they're equal. They do a lot of shicey things, two things in particular with nomenclature, and they just run gamut. And so like the main event is that in outer space, they want to start organ harvesting because it's sterile in outer space. And when I heard this, it was hard, but then they said it again inside of the questionnaire. They mentioned it again, and this is a way to make money. And it's just what it's really all about. This is when you hit a plateau. You can sell out and do a whole bunch of shicey stuff. In the future, it's going to be 10 times more extravagant, where people will say, oh, I want to go to Venus instead of Venice. And the sectors to get there would be more and more extravagant if things are not done right. And as of right now, things are not being done right. I can point fingers, but if you don't think getting on to a rocket ship is dangerous, it's an explosive device, and you're strapping yourself on there to get into outer space. So there's that. But I'm never going to be the one to suffice imagery for believability, because I've seen basically everything you can imagine. I told this to one lady. I've seen everything you can basically, I didn't say basically, I said imagine. That was rude. So her whole life was meaningless in my eyes. And so there's this other lady, she was wearing a, no, and I mean this for the stanza of, I was trying to go off a different tangent, too rich for my blood. I don't take that personal, because at any point in time, you get hit with a chimera, you're up Schitt's Creek without a paddle in $1 million in $1 million canal that wasn't even built, and it's not even real, and it shouldn't be. Okay, so that's tangent is the pineapple. It was looking like a peacock because it had the top of it. It's pineapple having leaves, but they were curly and they had like dots on them. And I'm like thinking it's a peacock, so I look down further and it's a pineapple. And she's like, no, it's art. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Never seen a pineapple look like that. And that's really all it is. If you get it, it's that simple. Where reading something and knowing if the lines have been blurred when you're reading between the lines, connecting data points. And this is all it is. And I want to say a few notes. If you have a sauna and you go in it and you shower off from the sweat, later that day, after a day of grunchiness, you won't feel like you need to change clothes because you will feel actually like you've already had a shower. So, as opposed to if you didn't go in a sauna, this effect wouldn't be taking place. Stuff like this. And this is a real thing. It's style and then there's comfort. No one wants to look silly, and some people say I never get embarrassed. But if you're wearing something that makes you look mentally ill, at that point, I would suffice to having something look more stylish than comforting. And that's terrible to say. And at what point? Because in Germany, they're euthanizing autistic people. So, and then also in Germany, they had an entire government running child rings. So it's no surprise Germany is ahead of the curve with this stuff. Canada, they have these 3D printers where they print out these death machines to euthanize people. So it's one step above that. They're picking their candidates gingerly. And who doesn't want a quick fix when you're down on your luck with change running short? No, but I just use that example as like a crack in the road. It can be an accelerant ever so slightly because it has deviations of a crevice. And with what this means is a crack can make it extra if you're laying something on top of it with wheels and it gets momentum. So there's acceleration with vortexes. And when you put those two words together, you inherently think, or at least I do, that there's would be a multitude of vortexes, more than one. It's like saying you're going on your last break when it's the only one that you have. It's inferring that you would have had one before then, but it's a mistake on their behalf that you hadn't if they're the one telling you. That's equivalent to this whole vortex thing where I think it would be multiple if mentioned that it's an accelerated one. Probably because in college they had a lot of like black hole and there was like stuff rotating around the black hole. And more so on TV they were saying there's black holes that orbit other black holes and they spin together and one eats the other. And so when I think of a vortex, I think of those multiple objects if the vortex is in the context of acceleration.